Moving from outer chaos to inner balance, a 28-day immersion. This is day 5. Before we move on to day 5, I just wanted to add some admin details. Some of you have been messaging me, asking me, how do I get to watch the videos on the different days? The videos are available on YouTube as a playlist, so you can go to YouTube and subscribe and click on the bell button so that you will be notified whenever a new video comes on. Videos are also available on Facebook, the page, as well as a Facebook group. There is also a workbook which is available for download if you join the Facebook group. Each week's workbook will be made available in the group. So that's the admin for the immersion. Let's move on to day 5. Those of you who did the exercise on day 4 and got some answers from within yourself as to the kind of feelings and emotions that are locked up within you. If you found a so-called positive emotion, that's really wonderful. And if you found a negative emotion, that's wonderful too, because one of the ways that we can release a negative emotion is to first acknowledge it exists, and then we can move out of that. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the two main sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous modes or nervous systems that we operate in. If we are looking at experiencing fear, worry, anxiety, anger, then we are most probably operating out of the sympathetic nervous system. This particular instinct of the sympathetic nervous system came to us right from the time we were hunter-gatherers, when we would go out, hunt for animals, and then we had to face dangers. When we were faced with a dangerous situation, this mode would kick in, and this is a way we would protect ourselves. So it had 3 different components. First was the fight response. So when the fight response was activated, the body gave the hunter every resource that it could get its hands on so that he could win in the fight against the animal. If the response was a flight response, then the blood would move out from other parts of the body and into the feet, so that the feet could really run, take the person very fast away from the danger. And the third mode was the freeze mode, and that was a mode where the person would just freeze. And that's a response to a dangerous situation as well, because sometimes just being motionless when we are faced with an attack is a way to protect ourselves and not be detected. So this was the response of the nervous system in the earlier days, but that response, those instincts are still with us to this day, but present itself in different ways. So based on the situation in the outside world, if we are angry, frustrated, irritated, then that's a fight response. We really want to go and punch somebody up or, do something that to express our anger. That's a fight response. If we are ignoring all this and just binge watching some serials, Netflix movies, or even on Facebook, Instagram, that becomes a flight response. We are just avoiding the issue altogether. It's a flight response. If we are stuck, and many people get stuck, not able to move in a given direction that they want to, that becomes a freeze response. And being in any of these 3 situations for a short period of time, the body is able to recover very quickly. But if we are in these situations for an extended period of time, then other body functions are compromised. Most importantly, the immune system is compromised. And today we need our immune system to work optimally. Our digestive system is compromised. And many other parts of the body, including our brain, are compromised when we remain in a sympathetic mode for a longer period of time. So it is really in our interests, especially at a time like this, to shift out of sympathetic mode and to move into a parasympathetic mode, which is one of being happy, joyous, being in a flow state, creative state, being able to talk to someone happily, nurture others, support ourselves. All of these are parasympathetic functions, and we would like to be in that mode so that we can help ourselves the best. So today I'm going to share with you one technique that's going to shift us. And that technique is the Cortices technique from BodyTalk System. It's one of the most powerful techniques that I have ever encountered. In fact, it is this technique that brought me to BodyTalk. Years ago, when I was grieving over my father's, he just passed away, and I was grieving, but at the same time, I thought that I was handling it very well. And I was experiencing all these weird symptoms. And one of those symptoms was frequent attacks of giddiness. One such episode, I started Googling. I avoided all the health sites and I kept scrolling until my attention was on a particular video. There was a bald man, and his hand was on this in the cover slide, and something within me told me to click that. So I clicked on that video. I watched it, then I rewound it, did his exercise. And this guy was John Weltime, the person who put together BodyTalk System, and he was demonstrating the Cortices technique. So I followed with him. My giddiness reduced. I rebound, followed it a second time, and my giddiness more or less went away. So immediately I started researching. I found a practitioner in Singapore. Next day, I had my first session. And after 3 sessions, most of my symptoms disappeared. And that's because I was holding grief within myself. I didn't even realize I was holding so much grief. And when I was able to release the grief, the body began to shift and all those weird symptoms disappeared. Many people have had really miraculous experiences. One of the experience that stands out is a BodyTalk practitioner. She attended a course and she used to work in a hospital and she wanted to try this out. So over a period of 9 months, she tried this technique on 10 different coma patients. And 9 of them came out of their coma that same day or the next day. So it's really a very powerful technique. And let me show you how this technique works. And once you have practiced it, let me know in the comments as well how you respond to this technique. So there are 4 aspects to this technique. One is we use our hand, any hand, to connect the left and the right sides of the brain. So we start, and let me show you. We start at the base, and for the next position, we will mark using the tiny finger and then move on to the next position. And again, we will mark with the tiny finger and move on to the next, move on to the next. And then finally, we stop with the forehead. After we do this, we go on to the 2 sides. And these are our hand positions for the Cortices technique. And while we hold our hand position in any of these locations, we also do tapping. So tapping will be on the top of the head, so you're covering both sides of the brain. So it will not be here, but on both sides of the brain. You could do it this way, you could do it this way, and you don't have to hit hard. You just can be a very gentle. Some of us, we even do it in the energy field, but you can just do it very gently. So that's the first position. The second tapping position is here in the heart area, anywhere here. Again, a very gentle tapping. And the third one is in the belly button area. So every position of the hand, you will be tapping on the top, on the heart, and on the belly button. And then you will move on to each of those positions. The third aspect of this is the breathing. So you can be as slow breath you can take as you're comfortable. So you don't have to extend it too long. Whatever you're comfortable, just make it very deep breath as you do the exercise. And the last aspect, which is very important, is this awareness that you bring into this exercise as you are doing this technique. So, this awareness is what allows you to tap on your inner wisdom. So, when you are tapping into your inner wisdom will guide you as to how long you need to hold your hand at each location. So, some places you may just need to hold it for a short while, and some places you need to hold for a longer period. And that comes only with awareness. So do this technique with awareness and you will find a difference. What happens as you do this technique? First, the left and the right sides of the brain are balanced. They are balanced in terms of the electrical activity, in terms of information being shared by the two brains, and in terms of even the energetic balance within the brain and within the entire body. And also belief systems that are embedded into the brain, they start shifting as you start doing this very regularly. So let me share this technique and let me do this technique and you can follow through with me. So we start with the base of the neck and then you tap on. So obviously today I need to stay in that position for a longer period. And that's fine. Okay. And then you move on to the heart and then to the belly button. And then use the little finger as a guide and shift up. Again, shift up to the next location. Move on to the next one. And when you are here, you can tap on top of this hand or you can tap at the back, but make sure you're tapping on both sides. And then you always end with the forehead, and that's the prefrontal cortex. And the frontal cortex, both of them, depending on the size of your hand. Okay. Now you take your hands on both sides and press it so that your brain feels that imprint of the hand, and then visualize or imagine that the hand is still there, and use the other hand to repeat it. And do it on the other side. you will find that as the energy shifts, as the brain shifts, you may just have a sudden deep breath or a yawn or a hiccup, any which way, or you just feel that lightness within you. So something has shifted for you. When you are really stressed, you could do this many times or over the day, different times as well. So this is a tool that you can add to your toolbox to help you shift out of this sympathetic mode into the parasympathetic mode. Day 6, I will be sharing more tips to help us make that shift as well. This is Nirmala Shekhar signing off. See you tomorrow for day 6. Namaste.